So I built this Backrooms inspired dungeon labyrinth type of thing with Angular using the Angular 3 library, which was built by Chow Tran and essentially allows you to use the ThreeJS library declaratively and in a way that is idiomatic for Angular. You can create modular components, use inputs, signals, RxJS, and whatever else you like, and Angular 3 has a custom renderer that will output the resulting 3D scene graph to a canvas. I won't get into the whole lore of the Backrooms, but basically it's a sort of internet folklore horror sort of thing where people find themselves trapped wandering around a liminal space of infinite, typically old hotel or office style hallways. There's no shortage of what is usually pretty silly content around this concept, but if you're interested, Kane Pixels has a pretty cool series of his own take on the Backrooms concept. But let's get down to business on how to actually build this. I'm not going to go through the basic setup stuff here, but it is worth noting that I will be using the upcoming V4 version of Angular 3, and there are also some additional libraries that need to be installed for the physics integration. There will be a link to the repo in the description if you want a reference for getting everything set up correctly, but mostly this is just a normal Angular application with some dependencies installed. So basically I was just playing around with Angular 3, starting out with a typical basic scene with a cube, and I figured if I just put a bunch of cubes together, I could create a sort of dungeon type of layout from a 2D array, where the cubes form the walls of that dungeon. So first I added a couple of cubes to test the general concept and a floor. You can see I've done this by using a few of the different wrappers around ThreeJS primitives that Angular 3 provides. We have a mesh that uses a box geometry for the cube, and we have a basic material to give it a red color. The grid helper here just renders a grid on a 3D plane, which is going to serve temporarily as a sort of floor. Now at the moment we just have a static camera looking at the scene, and we can only see it from a single viewpoint, which isn't very interesting and doesn't really give a sense of a three-dimensional space. We want to be able to move the camera around and create a sense that the player is the camera and allow them to both look and move around. To enable the player to look around with the mouse, we can first enable pointer lock. The basic idea is that we want the mouse to stay locked within the bounds of the game world. Otherwise, if the player is trying to turn around, their mouse will just end up going off screen. We can achieve that with this effect. Here we are using inject store, which exposes signals of various things to us. In this case, we are accessing the WebGL renderer instance. When this renderer becomes available, we set up the pointer lock. Now, if I click on the canvas, the mouse disappears and becomes locked within the context of the canvas. And I can press escape to get my mouse back. Then to allow the player to change the direction of the camera, we just get a stream of pointer move events and set the camera direction in response to that. Again, we are making use of inject store here, this time to access the default camera as well. There's some maths involved here, but you can generally just ask an LLM to do this stuff for you if you don't have the time for Euler and Quaternion stuff. You don't need to know all the math stuff involved, but it will make for a less frustrating experience if you have some familiarity. So that gives us our ability to look around, but we also need the ability to move the camera or player throughout this 3D space. To facilitate this, we are going to start integrating physics into this scene, and Angular 3 makes this really quite nice. I can wrap this entire scene inside of ngTR physics and provide whatever configurations I want. In this case, I am supplying the gravity setting, and I'll also be setting up colliders manually myself, so I've disabled the auto colliders setting. If we take a look now, we will see that nothing has changed because we just have a fixed camera and the cubes don't have physics bodies. But we can create a physics body for one of our cubes by surrounding it with an object 3D and assigning it a rigid body directive, making sure to also import ngTR rigid body. Eventually, we will just want these cubes to be in a fixed position, but for now, let's keep it dynamic, which will allow it to fall. We will also need to set up our collider for the cube. To make things in our scene collide with each other and interact with physics, we can create colliders of different shapes. We have pretty simple collision requirements here, so I can just import the ngTR cuboid collider for our cube and just create a cube hitbox that matches the dimensions of the cube. If we enable the debug mode for our physics, we can see the outlines of our colliders, which can be quite helpful. If we check our scene now, we can see our red cube just falls into the void, which is pretty cool. Now we can set up a physics body for our player, because we are going to want this body to move around the scene and collide with the walls and floor eventually. And we are also going to sync the camera's location to this physics body. Just a quick side note, for the sake of perhaps making this easier to follow, I'm just putting everything into the one component. But part of the value of Angular 3 here is how it makes it easy to create modular components we can compose together, and it would make sense to have our player as its own component. If you'd like to see a more proper architecture for this scene, you can check out the finished source code I'll link in the description. Setting up the physics body for the player looks basically the same as what we just did with the cube. We even set up a small cuboid hitbox collider for the player. One difference here is that we are also going to want to grab a reference to this one via viewchild so that we can do some imperative operations with it. At this point, if we take a look at the scene with debug mode on, we can see this body and collider we just added. Notably, it is separate to the camera. If that physics body is supposed to be us, then we are having an out-of-body experience. So our next goal here is to sync the camera with that physics body and also to allow us to move that physics body around using directional keys. We can do this using the before render function, which runs on a loop, so we can constantly update the velocity of the body based on whatever keys are currently being held, and we can sync the camera's position to wherever the body currently is. To determine which keys are currently being held, I'm taking a declarative approach where I create a stream of key up and key down events that will be transformed into a set of keys that are currently being held. Now our player can look in any direction and move around the scene, but the problem is that we are now just slowly falling into an infinite void. So we are going to need a proper floor. So now let's create a basic floor using a plane and another cuboid collider. Since we are using args here, which supplies the dimensions for the plane, we need to make sure we are importing NGT args as well as adding plane geometry to our extend call. One thing to keep in mind with planes is that by default they are only visible from one side, so you need to make sure you get your rotation right, otherwise you might end up confused as to why your plane isn't showing up. Now our player will collide with the floor and we can walk around. A problem now though is that we can walk right through our wall. So let's make sure we have a collider for both of our walls now, and also let's make them fixed so that they don't fall anymore. And notice that the position property was moved to the object 3D. Now we have a basic space where we can walk around and collide with walls. So now that we have the basic setup done, the next thing I tackled was the idea of taking a 2D array to create these walls automatically rather than having to add each one manually to the scene. And I think it's pretty cool that we can do this just by using Angular's control flow syntax. So then I wanted a more large and complex dungeon layout, but I couldn't be bothered messing with creating a big layout in a 2D array myself, so I asked ChatGPT to create a large layout for me. I just wanted a static layout, but to my surprise, it created a function that would auto-generate random layouts with the general style that I wanted, which pretty much worked first shot and the results were fantastic. If I disable the floor so we can fly under the dungeon layout, you can see it looks pretty hectic. I don't exactly have a great sense of direction, but I find it extremely easy to get lost in these generated layouts, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to zoom ahead to the final result now, which was basically just refactoring, adding some textures, adjusting positions, and adding a roof to the dungeon. All of this is available in the source code if you want to check out how it's done. I had a bunch of fun making this, and I've certainly got some ideas for fleshing this out into a simple game. So if you found this interesting and would like to see a follow-up with more features, please drop a comment, and if there's any interest, I'll do another video. And a big shout out to Chao Tran for this awesome library and for the PR updating the code in this video for the upcoming version 4 of Angular 3. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping a like or subscribe before you go, and I hope to see you again next time.